The Galactic parking ticket captain Jake Martinez leaned back in his chair at Earth Defense Command, staring at the blinking red alert on his screen. Again. The third time this month. Let me guess, said his second-in-command, Lieutenant Chen, not even looking up from her coffee. Another alien invasion fleet? Yep. This time it's the Zorgonians. Says here they're demanding Earth's immediate surrender or they'll destroy us with their plasma cannons. What is it with aliens and plasma cannons? Chen muttered. Don't any of them have laser beams anymore? Particle weapons? Good old-fashioned missiles? Apparently plasma is very in right now in the galactic weapon scene. The main screen flickered to life, showing the face of what could only be described as an angry squid wearing a military uniform. Commander Blortax of the Zorgonian Empire glared at them with all 7 of his eyes. Humans. Blortax bellowed, his translator giving him an unnecessarily dramatic voice. Your pathetic species has exactly 1 Earth hour to surrender unconditionally. We have 500 warships surrounding your primitive planet. Resistance is futile. Jake sipped his coffee slowly. Yeah, about that. You guys are parked illegally. There was a long pause. Blortax's eyes blinked in sequence, which probably meant confusion. What? You're in a no-parking zone. See, this whole region of space around Earth? It's designated as a clearance area. No unauthorized vessels allowed within the 100,000-kilometer perimeter without proper permits. Permits? Blortax's tentacles flailed. We are an invasion force. We don't need permits. Actually, according to Intergalactic Traffic Code Section 4729, subsection B, all vessels entering controlled space need proper documentation. Invasion forces included. Chen was trying very hard not to laugh. This is absurd. Blortax shouted. We have conquered 47 star systems. We have obliterated entire civilizations. We don't do paperwork. Well, that explains why you've never successfully invaded Earth, Jake said reasonably. You need to file Form GI-88 for invasion intent, Form SP-23 for space parking authorization, and Form WD-40 for weapons deployment in civilian areas. WD-40? Yeah, we didn't name it. Blame the Bureaucratic Council of Andromeda. They standardize all the forms. Blortax was turning an interesting shade of purple. We will destroy your planet and then we won't need your stupid forms. Sure. But here's the thing. Jake pulled up another screen. 3 months ago, you guys parked illegally in the Centauri system. Never paid the fine. 2 months ago, same thing in the Proxima sector. You're actually on the Galactic Most Wanted list now. Not for conquest. For unpaid parking tickets. Parking tickets, 147 of them, to be exact. That's 147,000 galactic credits you owe. With late fees, it's up to about 500,000 credits now. Chen was outright giggling at this point. This is an outrage. We are warriors. We do not concern ourselves with your petty bureaucratic nonsense. Right, well, the Galactic Enforcement Bureau might feel differently. In fact, Jake checked another screen. Yep, there's a GEB patrol ship heading this way right now. They really don't like scofflaws. Scofflaws. People who don't pay their tickets. You're gonna want to move those ships before they get here. Trust me, GEB towing fees are brutal. They'll impound your entire fleet. Blortax's tentacles drooped. You can't be serious. Dead serious. Look, I'll level with you, Commander. You seem like a reasonable squid. Why don't you just pay the tickets, file the proper paperwork, and we can schedule your invasion attempt for, let's see, how does next Thursday work for you? Schedule our invasion? Yeah, you need to book time in advance. We've got the Draconians on Tuesday, the Xylothians on Wednesday. Thursday's pretty open though. We could squeeze you in around 2 p.m. Earth Standard Time. There was a very long silence. All 7 of Blortax's eyes were staring at Jake like he'd grown a second head. You schedule invasions? Well, yeah. It's way more efficient. Otherwise, we'd have fleets showing up whenever they wanted, causing traffic jams, accidentally shooting each other instead of us. Last year, the Fentorians, and the Glorbians both tried to invade on the same day. Total disaster. They ended up fighting each other and forgot about Earth entirely. But, Blortax seemed to be having trouble processing this. How do you defend against scheduled invasions? Jake shrugged. Honestly, most species get bored and cancel. Turns out the paperwork is so annoying that it's easier to just open diplomatic relations instead. We've signed, 30 peace treaties in the past year alone. Just from people who didn't want to fill out the forms. Chen nodded. Last month, the Vraxians started their invasion paperwork, got to Form GI-88, subsection C, paragraph 14, and their commander just said forget it and asked if we wanted to trade instead. Nice people, the Vraxians. They make excellent cheese. Cheese? Blortax whispered. Really good cheese. Way better than conquering us would be. The Zorgonian commander's tentacles sagged completely. He looked defeated in a way that no weapon could have achieved. So you're telling me, Blortax said slowly, that if we want to invade Earth, we have to pay 500,000 credits in parking fines, fill out multiple forms, and then schedule an appointment. That's about the size of it, yeah. And if we just attacked right now without permission? The GEB patrol would impound your fleet, you'd get additional fines for illegal invasion, and you'd be banned from 40% of the galaxy. Trust me, you don't want that. The ban includes all the good restaurants. Blortax was quiet for a long moment. Then, what if we just wanted to open trade relations? Jake grinned. Now you're talking. That's just one form. TT12. Takes about 10 minutes to fill out. One form. And we wouldn't owe 500,000 credits. Well, you'd still owe that for the parking tickets. But we could probably work out a payment plan. You guys have any interesting exports? We make excellent plasma weapons. Plasma weapons are so last decade, Chen interjected. But I've heard Zorgonian art is supposed to be amazing. It is, actually, Blortax said, sounding surprised. Our tentacle sculptures are renowned across 7 sectors. There you go, Jake said cheerfully. We'll trade cultural goods, you pay off your tickets in installments, everybody wins. No invasion necessary. Blortax looked at his officers off-screen, who appeared to be nodding enthusiastically. I suppose we could do that. Great. I'll send over Form TT12. Should have you processed by end of business tomorrow. Welcome to the Galactic community, Commander. But we were supposed to conquer you. Yeah, but think about it. Conquest is expensive. You've got to maintain occupation forces, deal with resistance movements, process all those prisoners. Trade is way easier. Plus, we've got really good coffee. Coffee? Oh man, you haven't had coffee? Okay, forget everything else. Once you try Earth coffee, you're going to want to be our best friends. Chen pulled out a thermos and poured a cup. Commander, I'm going to have our transporter beam this up to your ship. Fair warning, it's addictive. Addictive? In the best way. They beamed the coffee to the Zorgonian flagship. There was silence for about 30 seconds. Then, by the 7 moons of Zorgon, Blortax whispered. This is incredible. Right. Jake grinned. Now imagine having access to that every day. Via trade. Not conquest. Send us the forms. All of them. We're cancelling the invasion. Excellent choice, Commander. But we're going to need a lot more of this coffee. We can arrange that. After the transmission ended, Chen turned to Jake. You know, I'm starting to think the real defense strategy isn't our weapons at all. Nope. It's bureaucracy and coffee. Works every time. The Galactic Council is going to be so confused. They already are. Did you see the message from the Andromedans last week? They wanted to know how Earth hasn't been conquered yet. I sent them a copy of Form GI-88. What did they say? They said never mind, we'll just buy your movies instead. Apparently, subsection C is really that bad. Jake pulled up his calendar. Okay, so Zorgonians are off the invasion schedule. That frees up Thursday. Should we move the tentacords up from Friday? Nah, they already submitted their paperwork wrong. They're going to have to resubmit. That'll take at least 2 weeks. Poor guys. Maybe we should send them some coffee too. You know, as a peace offering. Chen laughed. You're going to addict the entire galaxy to coffee, aren't you? Not the entire galaxy. Just the parts that keep trying to invade us. Jake leaned back in his chair, satisfied. Which, at this rate, is going to be nobody by next year. Think we'll run out of work? Are you kidding? Have you seen the backlog of trade agreements we need to process? We're going to be busy for decades. 3 months later, Commander Blortax returned to Earth. Not with an invasion fleet, but with a trade delegation. The Zorgonian art exhibition at the United Nations was a massive success, and their tentacle sculptures became the hottest thing in contemporary art-in exchange. Earth sent coffee, movies, and some jazz music. The Zorgonians loved it all. At the closing ceremony, Blortax found Jake in the crowd. Commander Martinez, the Zorgonian said, all 7 eyes twinkling with what might have been amusement. I have a confession. Yeah. When we first arrived at Earth, our intelligence reports said you were a primitive species with minimal defenses. We thought conquest would be easy. Jake smirked. And we were wrong. You didn't defeat us with weapons. You defeated us with paperwork. Endless paperwork. Do you have any idea how many forms there are? How many subsections? How many times I had to initial things? That's the idea. It's brilliant. Frustrating, but brilliant. Blortax's tentacles gestured expressively. The Galactic Council has been trying to reduce conflicts for centuries. They use mediation, sanctions, peacekeeping forces. But Earth just made war too annoying to bother with. We learned from the best, Jake said. Human governments have been perfecting bureaucratic frustration for thousands of years. Figured we'd share the gift. It's working. Did you know the Draconians cancelled their Tuesday invasion? They got to form GI-88, subsection F, and their commander had a breakdown. They're sending diplomats instead. Good. Diplomats are way easier to deal with. They drink less during negotiations. Blortax laughed, a gurgling sound that his translator rendered as genuine mirth. I have to ask, though, what would you have done if we'd actually attacked? If we'd ignored the forms and just opened fire? Jake's expression didn't change, but something cold flickered in his eyes. Commander, we've been monitoring your fleet since you entered the solar system. We knew the yield of your plasma cannons, the strength of your shields, and the locations of your command ships. We also reverse-engineered your entire weapons system in the first hour. Blortax's eyes widened. We didn't want to fight you, Jake continued quietly. But we could have. Easily. The paperwork wasn't a joke, Commander. It was a kindness. A way for you to save face and walk away without losing ships and crew. The Zorgonian was very still. You were always in control. We were always prepared. There's a difference. Jake's expression softened. But this outcome? Trade, friendship, cultural exchange? This is better. For everyone. Yes, Blortax agreed slowly. Yes, it is. They stood together, watching as humans and Zorgonians mingled at the exhibition, discussing art and drinking coffee. For what it's worth, Blortax said finally, I'm glad we chose the paperwork. Me too, Commander. Me too. And somewhere in the filing cabinets of Earth Defense Command, Form GI-88 sat unused. One of hundreds of copies printed but never needed, because most aliens, when faced with subsection C, paragraph 14, decided that maybe Earth wasn't worth conquering after all. It was, after all, much easier to just be friends. The end.